At the dawn of the nuclear age, scientists introduced a symbolic warning designed to communicate how close humanity may be to self-destruction. That warning is known as the Doomsday Clock. On Tuesday, nearly 8 decades after its creation, the clock was set to 85 seconds to midnight, marking the closest point it has ever reached. According to the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, the organization, which established the clock in 1947, announced the update during a news conference in Washington, D.C., underscoring what it described as escalating global risks that threaten the future of human civilization. Midnight on the Doomsday Clock represents the moment when human activity has rendered Earth uninhabitable. The latest adjustment moves the clock closer to that symbolic threshold than at any previous time in its history. The decision reflects the Bulletin's assessment of multiple interconnected dangers, including nuclear threats, climate-related risks, biological challenges, and the rapid advancement of disruptive technologies. The announcement was delivered publicly by senior representatives of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, including John B. Wolfsthal, Escher M. George, and Steve Fetter, as they revealed the 2026 setting of the clock. The new setting follows a series of recent adjustments that have steadily moved the clock forward. Last year, the Bulletin set the time at 89 seconds to midnight, which at that moment was the closest the clock had ever been to the symbolic endpoint. Prior to that, in both 2023 and 2024, the clock stood at 90 seconds to midnight. The change announced this year reflects what the Bulletin described as insufficient progress in addressing the most serious global challenges facing humanity. Scientists involved in the decision cited a lack of meaningful advancement in managing nuclear risk, responding to the climate crisis, confronting biological threats, and regulating emerging disruptive technologies, including artificial intelligence. In addition to these factors, the Bulletin also pointed to the growing spread of misinformation, disinformation, and conspiracy theories as significant threats. According to the organization, these trends complicate efforts to respond effectively to existential dangers by undermining shared understanding and coordinated action. Taken together, these conditions informed the decision to move the clock forward by several seconds, resulting in the new setting of 85 seconds to midnight. Explaining the reasoning behind the change, Bulletin President and Chief Executive Officer Alexandra Bell stated that humanity has not made sufficient progress in reducing the existential risks that endanger everyone. She described the Doomsday Clock as a communication tool intended to show how close people are to destroying the world through technologies of their own creation. Bell emphasized that the risks posed by nuclear weapons, climate change, and disruptive technologies are increasing, and she noted that every second is significant. She added that time is running out and described the current situation as a difficult but unavoidable reality. The announcement also revisited warnings issued by Bulletin scientists in the previous year. During a news briefing on Tuesday, Dr. Daniel Holes, chair of the Bulletin's Science and Security Board, recalled that scientists had urged countries to change course toward greater international cooperation and decisive action on the most critical existential risks. According to Holes, those warnings were not followed. Instead, he said, major countries became more aggressive, adversarial, and nationalistic, contributing to a worsening global environment. Holes further noted that conflicts intensified in 2025, with multiple military operations involving nuclear-armed states. He highlighted a significant development in the realm of nuclear arms control, stating that the last remaining treaty governing nuclear weapons stockpiles between the United States and Russia is set to expire on February 4. Once that treaty expires, Holes said, there will be no remaining agreement in place to prevent a rapid escalation in nuclear arms competition, marking the first time in more than half a century that such a situation would exist. Beyond nuclear concerns, Holes also drew attention to ongoing dangers in the life sciences. He said that serious risks persist, particularly in emerging fields such as the development of synthetic mirror life. According to Holes, scientists around the world have repeatedly warned about these dangers. Yet the international community lacks a coordinated plan to address them. He stated that the world remains unprepared for potentially devastating biological threats, a condition that contributed to the Bulletin's decision to move the clock closer to midnight. Another major factor highlighted during the briefing was the rapid growth and widespread use of artificial intelligence tools. Holes said that the expansion of these technologies, combined with a lack of effective regulation, intensifies the spread of misinformation and disinformation. He added that this dynamic significantly affects efforts to confront other global threats, as it complicates public understanding and policy responses. According to Holes, the influence of unregulated AI systems exacerbates existing risks and amplifies the impact of other impending dangers. As part of the announcement, the Bulletin also reiterated the broader purpose and history of the Doomsday Clock. The clock was created by scientists who had worked on the Manhattan Project, the code name for the World War II effort to develop the atomic bomb. Those scientists established the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists as a nonprofit organization in 1945. Initially, the organization focused on measuring and communicating nuclear threats. In 2007, the Bulletin expanded its scope to include the climate crisis as a factor in determining the clock's setting. For nearly 8 decades, Bulletin scientists have reviewed global conditions each year to decide whether the clock's time should change. The decision is made by experts serving on the Bulletin's Science and Security Board, in consultation with the organization's board of sponsors. That board was formed by Albert Einstein in December 1948, with J. Robert Oppenheimer serving as its first chair. Today, the board includes 8 Nobel laureates, many with backgrounds in physics or chemistry. Some years the clock is adjusted, while in other years it remains unchanged, depending on the Bulletin's assessment of global risks. The 85-second setting now stands as the most urgent warning the organization has issued since the clock's creation. While the clock is not intended to function as a precise measurement tool, the Bulletin has consistently described it as a way to draw attention to complex scientific issues and global crises. As the world absorbs the significance of this latest adjustment, the Bulletin's message remains focused on the current state of global threats and the factors that led to this historic decision. In the next part of this report, we will continue with a detailed examination of what the Doomsday Clock represents, how its meaning has been interpreted over time, and how scientists and experts have responded to questions about its role and relevance in addressing the challenges facing humanity.